So is Aaron Sorkin as brilliant as we think he is? We'll find out on Film Threat Reviews. Hi, I'm Maten-ii. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we are reviewing The Trial of the Chicago 7 on Netflix. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. You're going to see this movie. Definitely comment as to what you thought about it. The Trial of the Chicago 7 tells the story of the 8 men who are put on trial for the violent clash between Chicago police and police protesters at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. As defendants, we have Abbie Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Tom Hayden, Bobby Seale, and others. This is written and directed by Aaron Sorkin and stars a whole bunch of celebrities and people you know, but mainly Eddie Redmayne, Alex Sharp, Sasha Baron Cohen, Jeremy Strong, John Carroll Lynch, Yahya Abdul Maten-ii II, Mark Rylance, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Frank Langella. Woo! So let me tell you this. Before coming into this movie, I was not on the Aaron Sorkin bandwagon. I liked Social Network, Moneyball, Charlie Wilson's War. I liked those, but you know, I think maybe I convinced myself that he was just a little too pretentious for me. But after seeing The Trial of the Chicago 7, I'm on board. The guy is incredible, especially as a screenwriter, and I really love this movie. Zorianna, what did you think?
Well, listen, this film is, I feel like now we're in the groove of good movies now, you know? Yeah. This is probably a first Oscar contender that people can safely talk about. I mean, it is an all-star cast, and who wouldn't want to be reciting Aaron Sorkin's brilliant words? They are brilliant. As a screenwriter, he is brilliant. Now, this is only his second outing as a director. He did Molly's Game, which was okay, which was good. It's a good start.
I liked it. I read the book, but you know, that's probably why I liked it as much as I did.
It was good. You know, Aaron Sorkin is very smart in that he is, you know, he's kind of taking it easy as a director. This is a courtroom drama, so that means you don't need a lot of razzmatazz, all the different setups and visual effects or any of that stuff. Like, it's a courtroom drama where his words shine, and that's where Aaron Sorkin shines in his screenwriting. In fact, the directing here isn't even that spectacular. It's pretty basic, but that is why Aaron Sorkin is smart in choosing to do something like this, because the focus is on what happened inside this courtroom. And it is it's relevant. It is so relevant. There's a reason it's coming out now before November. It's so important for people to see because so much has stayed the same despite so much happening. Mm-hmm. As a Canadian, I was not familiar with the story at all. So in watching this, I went into it not knowing anything. And I was riveted. Not only was I riveted by the fact that this happened and continues to happen today, the injustices, the crooked politicians and judges. Yeah,
you know, you unpacked a lot there. I was somewhat familiar. I was 1 year old when this happened. Let me just get back to Aaron Sorkin for just a second. But it was really the opening moments that it dawned on me how brilliant this guy is as a screenwriter. You know, his dialogue not only reveals character, even in mundane things they say, but it's always interesting to listen to. And then he subtly adds in plot exposition at the same time. I think that's why I like his based on true events screenplays more than I do like The West Wing and the Sunset Strip one. I think he does a really good job of capturing what happened in a fictional way, providing the right tone to it to get his political point across, and feel exciting. And you know, and like I said, as much as I think he's pretentious, I think he keeps it just under that line.
But I don't know how much fictionalizing he could have done here, because when you have a courtroom drama, I'm assuming there are transcripts. I'm assuming there are trial. Yeah. There are things. You know, it's like, okay, when he adapted Molly's Game, you maybe embellish things, create fictional characters that are an amalgamation of other ones. I don't know what happened here. I don't know the backstory of how he came to write this screenplay, but I'm assuming there had to be some sense of accountability to the accuracy of things, because this was such a historic thing that happened at that time.
You could just easily act off the transcripts, but I think things happen a little bit more dramatically for dramatic and story effect than it did in real life. And sometimes in movies that are based on true events, that comes off as overly Hollywoodized, I would say, or overly, overdone. And here, I think he just keeps enough of his own personality and his feelings at bay to still keep things relevant.
Mm-hmm. I also think we have to talk about some of these performances, because come Oscar time, depending on what other films come out, there are people here who certainly could be recognized. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen steals the show as Abbie Hoffman. Jeremy Strong, incredible as Jerry Rubin. Eddie Redmayne, fantastic as Tom Hayden. I mean, so many amazing performances here. It's no wonder that actors just gravitate towards them. Mark Rylance, I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, all of them. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen, like you said, steals it. He obviously chose the character that is the most exciting, most energetic of the crew, and probably the most fun to play with. Versus Eddie Redmayne, who plays Tom Hayden, who is a little more straight-laced, a little more of your Ivy League liberal at this point.
But, in a year where, we have Sacha Baron Cohen portraying Abbie Hoffman in a very serious film, contrasting to the Borat trailers that have just recently been released. And now Borat has his own Instagram, and you've got that whole Sacha Baron Cohen thing happening. You really are able to see just the depth and breadth of somebody who can play two very different characters that are not in any way, shape, or form. There's no residual from one to another. So it's really it's astounding. And I think having the contrast of the Borat trailer makes it even more apparent that this man is not a one-hit wonder, and he truly is a really brilliant actor.
Yeah, one performance here that we haven't even touched on is Frank Langella as Judge Hoffman. It's like he's the bad guy, the villain of the piece, but he's, as much as he's of the 60s, of white American males of the early 60s, as stereotypical as that role is, he plays him off as a little bit dumb and a little bit of self-serving. He's more incompetent than he is evil, and
he's racist.
Racist too. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That goes without saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is it could have been easy for someone to play this as a stereotypical mean, bad, racist judge. There is depth there. It does not feel one note. He
is. He's the king of the courtroom.
Yes.
And his word is the law until it's ultimately challenged in an amazing way.
Oh, and it's challenged a lot by so many of these characters in very amazing ways.
Yeah, we could get a little bit political about it, but I mean, constantly, this was just typical of this idea that prosecutors at that time and even today are always out for the conviction, regardless of whether to me, I've always felt the legal system should be a pursuit of the truth as opposed to the pursuit of justice. And then also it's this idea that, we are in this time now still where we are using the courts to go after our political opponents for whatever reason. And that's essentially what this case is. We don't agree with, their politics and views about the Vietnam War. And so we are going to go after them because these are basically 7-8 guys who were just protesting. And now it's a movie about prosecuting a movement. It's not like there was any organization. It's not like that there was any planning or conspiracies going on. And that's it's still happening today.
Well, at the beginning of this movie, the characters have this discussion of how, no, this isn't political. You can't politicize something like this. This is not, no. But they come to realize at the end that, yes, this was very much about politics. That's all that this was about. And today it feels like that's pretty much what it's about anyways, and not even much has changed.
I think what I appreciate about, when it comes to political movies, I like movies that have an understanding of both sides of the issues, and goes after people when they need to be, regardless of what party they're in. And I think this movie does that. It doesn't exonerate anybody. Everybody has their flaws and their own nuances and perspectives on the issue. And I think that's what's going to come across. That's going to appeal to a broad base for this particular movie.
Yeah. Well, the movie is on Netflix. This is a film that you can enjoy very much on the smaller screen.
One thing about Netflix is they're willing to give filmmakers as much time as they need to tell their story. And I think this one comes in a little over 2 hours, not quite the 3.5 hour mark of The Irishman. but
I didn't feel the time. I didn't feel the time. I was so...
No, absolutely. It flies by. And when in the third act, it really hits its stride. And
what astounds me is this trial went on for over 6 months.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, clearly you loved it. You love the, I've come to see the brilliance of Aaron Sorkin. You've already known it. The acting. So I'm saying you gave it a 9, maybe even a 9.5.
I gave it a 9. Okay. Because for me, the thing that kind of dinged it was that I didn't find the directing to be very powerful, but that is not an issue because it's about the screenplay. So, it's a 9. And I think I know you don't give out, you compare everything to Avengers, not going to give it a 10 because it's not Avengers. So you probably gave it a 9 as well.
I gave it a 9 as well. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm always hesitant to come into political dramas just because it's usually one side against the other. But this one hits the truth, hits both sides. And I'm on the Sorkin train now.
You're on the Sorkin boat, Sorkin train.
Sorkin train.
You're on board with Sorkin.
Yeah, Sorkin caravan. All right. Well, be sure to visit filmthat.com for more news and reviews on independent films. And with that, let's get out of here.